Welcome back to Planet in the South. Tonight we are going to be making a Stromboli. This is going to be a quick 30-minute meal that you make any weeknight, and really you can clean out your fridge with it. Whatever you think will taste good or whatever you have on hand, just toss it in there. So really the only thing you need to make sure you have on hand, if you want to do this the easy way, is make sure you have a pizza dough. I just have a crescent sheet dough here. That's what I'm going to use as my base. And then really anything else. So I have a couple of bell peppers. I have a bag of spinach, some mild banana peppers. I have some pickled red onion I'm gonna throw in there. I'm gonna use pesto as my sauce, but you can really use any sauce. If you have a spaghetti sauce in your fridge you need to get used up. If you have an Alfredo sauce, if you wanna make your own, do that too. I'm gonna use pesto. Last thing I'm gonna have in there is some sun-dried tomatoes, just because I love the way those taste, especially with the oil. And then any kind of cheese. So put some cheese on it and you're good to go. So like I said, really anything you have in your fridge, you can make a good Stromboli out of it. All right, so with my bell pepper, I am just gonna do some slices here, just a rough slice, because they're gonna be in your Stromboli. No one's gonna see what they look like, okay? Just slice them up here, how much ever you want. I'm gonna use 2 bell peppers because I want that to be the main of my dish. The kind of meatiness of my dish is gonna be bell pepper. And while I'm doing this, I've got my oven preheating over here to 425 degrees. You'll also wanna take a look at your dough and see what temperature it says on there. If it is way lower than 425, you might wanna do it a little bit less, okay? Because you don't want your dough to get nice and crispy on the outside and still be mushy on the inside. So now I have a skillet on the oven here. I have it on about medium. I put a little bit of oil in the pan, and I'm just gonna toss in my sliced bell peppers in there just to get them softened up a little bit. And then when I get those softened up, about 5 minutes or so, I'm gonna put my spinach in there so that it can get cooked down too. So I also wanna add some sun-dried tomatoes to the pan. So I'm just gonna took a couple out of the jar and I'm just gonna slice them up a little bit. Some of them are really big and chunky. So I just wanna make sure I don't get any huge chunks of that sun-dried tomato because it can get a little overpowering. So you hear my skillet sizzling over there, that's just what you want. And also at the time, if you are using a regular onion instead of a pickled onion, I would go ahead and throw sliced onion in the pan as well. With the pickled onion, I'm kind of back and forth. Am I gonna put it in the pan to heat up, or am I just gonna put it on there? I think I'm gonna add it to the pan here in just a minute, just so that my onions are heated through. So I have my kind of sliced up or just in smaller chunks of my sun-dried tomato, and I'm just gonna throw it right into the pan as well. Get those all spread out. So now my peppers are softened up a little bit and they're a little blistered, so I want to do the same for my onions. So I'm just gonna throw some pickled onions in here with it. I'm the only one that eats out of this jar, so that's why I'm using my fingers, okay? No one have a conniption about it. All right, good enough for me. Now while my vegetables are sauteing down in that skillet, I am gonna go ahead and roll out my pizza dough, or my Stromboli dough. So I'm just gonna flour my cabinet here a little bit. Doesn't need too much, but just flour my cabinet out here. Perfect. Now I'm just gonna roll my dough out here so you can see that good. And I am just gonna stretch it just a little bit, okay? Make sure not to tear it, and I kind of just drag mine across the counter because it's floured, it's not gonna stick, it's gonna be fine. And then just try to stretch it out a little bit and make it into a decent sized rectangle. I am noticing with this being the crescent dough that it is a little bit thinner than the normal one, which I'm probably gonna like, but it means I have to be a little bit more careful with it right now, and I am gonna have to make sure I don't overfill it. So I'm gonna let that stretch sit there for just a minute while we get the rest of our veggies soft. So our veggies are nice and soft, so now we are gonna throw in our spinach. And as always, spinach always wilts down, so put it in there, let it sit, and it'll be fine. Stir it up a bit. Veggies are done, so we just have them sitting off to the side on the stove now. So now let's get our Stromboli ready to go. I am gonna start off with some pesto. So I have a little bit of a jar here. I'm gonna use all of it, because what do we say? We pay for it, we're gonna use it. And like I said before, this is all personal preference. So if I like pesto, we like pesto here, so we're gonna use a good amount. If you don't like pesto, use a tomato sauce, use your spaghetti sauce, use an Alfredo sauce, heck, a buffalo sauce, a ranch. I mean, this is all so customizable. And we're doing this plant-based, but okay, you're not plant-based, fine. You can still do it with really anything in your fridge. Lunch meat, little pepperonis, chicken, turkey. I mean, it's, like I said, truly, truly customizable to how you like it and what you want. So I got my pesto on there. I think now I'm actually gonna add the cheese. So the closer it is to the outside layer, it should melt good. So I have Parmesan cheese here. Again, it's what I had in my fridge. If I had something else, I would use something else. We get so stuck on, we need exactly what the recipe has. I was there myself. I need exactly what the recipe has. No, you don't. You really don't. I mean, yeah, today you needed a pizza dough. You have the stuff to make a pizza dough, you can make one too, you know? But that should all be in your weekly planning. Okay, so I'm gonna put that there. Now I'm going to put my filling. So doesn't that filling look so good? Look at all those colors. Y'all know me, I like to have pretty colors. So I'm gonna try to put mine all over where the pesto is. And don't let it go all the way to the edge. See how I have about 1 inch to ½ an inch gap there? If I don't, it's just gonna all over spill out, okay? And it's gonna be a mess. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, I got it all filled, but it's going to be a mess, okay? Nobody wants a mess. Lay that in there. I am so happy with the way that looks right now, okay? And I've got a good, even filling all the way across. And now one of my most favorite things, banana peppers. Other people eat these, I'm gonna use a fork. So we have our Stromboli nice and filled, okay? I have my little extra pieces around the edge, and now we're gonna start rolling it. Most important part and most stressful part. Now, you're probably thinking, let's roll from the short edge and roll it over. No, okay? That's gonna be too much dough on the inside. You're never gonna get it all cooked. So you're actually gonna take the long edge and roll it over there. So very gently and very easily, because this is a crescent dough, and it is pretty thin, and we have a hot filling and we have a good amount of filling here. You need to be very, very careful while you're rolling this, or it's just gonna split apart and you're gonna have a mess. Just gonna take it very gently and pinch your ends together. So I have my 2 ends here and I'm pinching them together. We're just going to roll it over, okay? Nice and easy. And pinch it again. Roll it over. And pinch. And so I actually like to take my little pinched edge here and roll it under. Just a little extra protection, okay? Okay, look at that. That is probably one of the better times that I've rolled it up. But I have a nice even width across. Nothing has broken so far. And it looks good to go. Now, we need to transfer it to a greased baking sheet, or you can do a baking sheet with some tin foil on it and grease it. My sheet's just fine the way it is. Now, if you can't get your hands underneath it, use 2 spatulas, okay? I think I can get my hands under it and transfer it to the sheet pan very easily, but if you do not think you can, use a spatula, okay? So I've gotten mine here. Make sure your seam is down and place it right on your baking sheet. Okay, that's what we should have now. All right, we're getting fancy tonight. You know, we normally don't do anything very fancy, but tonight we are. We are actually going to add a couple of little slits across the top. All right, so there we go. Just a couple of little slits across the top. Now, we're gonna put this in the oven to cook on bake 425 degrees, and we are gonna check it in about 15 minutes. It's been about 15 minutes. Our Stromboli is out of the oven, and look at that. A nice, beautiful golden crust. And I'm gonna add just a little bit of this. It's really for olive oil for dipping, but it's a really good spice. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of that across the top here. And and that looks so, so good. So I'm gonna let it rest for about 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna slice it. I'm gonna make a quick and really simple salad to go with it. And we're gonna have supper. So this is what our stromboli looks like on the inside. You can see all of our veggie mixture that we made, and then a nice brown crisp crust. And then I just have a little simple salad here. So this is gonna be my supper, stromboli and a salad.